Hello world, this is Jeffrey, JGB146 Blake, back after quite a long hiatus, and I'm back to talk about a deck. This deck is actually Ho-Oh Salazzle, and it's a deck I've been running both online and in real life, and it's done well in both arenas. So let's talk about it. First off, the win rates. You can see the build I have here is 29 out of 36 wins. That's about 80%. I adjusted this build to come up with this version, and we'll go over what the changes were. This is 9 out of 11, which is a little bit better than that. That's 82%. And then I further adjusted to come up with a build that's actually repeatedly run into Gardevoir, so it's only 3 out of 7 currently. But obviously that's a low sample size. 9 out of 11 is low as well. But combine all those numbers together, and we're looking at 54 games with a 77%, 76 or 77% win rate. That's pretty good when you're looking at over 50 games. It's starting to get a meaningful sample size there. And in real life, the tournaments that I've played it in, they've been like league challenges and stuff, nothing major, but I don't think I've actually even lost with the deck at league play, league challenges. So I'm pretty happy with that. We're going to go ahead and take a look at this list because it is my latest list. So let's dig in. Blow that up so you can see everything. And we'll just go through the cards fairly quickly. So Oranguru is here almost purely for the instructability. Yes, you only get to draw until you have 3 cards, but it's a basic, which is nice. We'll talk about that a little bit. And moreover, I say almost for the instructability, because he's also a way that you can counter the Shining Legends Hoopa and or the Alolan Ninetales Baby with the Barrier ability. He can one-hit KO either of them if they have energy. Assuming you don't get into weird special cases where your opponent has like muscle dumbbells on a Alolan Ninetales, which actually happened in one of the tournaments I played in, but I still won. So then our main attacker most of the time is going to be Ho-Oh GX, mainly looking for this Phoenix Burn attack that does 180 damage, with the caveat that you can't use Phoenix Burn the following turn. You do still get to attack, so it's a little bit better than Volcanion's Volcanic Heat, but you can't use Phoenix Burn the following turn unless you reset by hitting the bench. We also have Sacred Fire, which is an attack that does 50 damage to any of your opponent's Pokemon. That actually has come in pretty clutch for me. I have won tournament matches because of it. Being able to do some sniping in between Phoenix Burns to take out extra prizes on benched Pokemon, or in some cases you can like get a steam up in, and then you bump this up to 80, and you can take out a basic or a stage 1 that's in the active. So it really is an attack that I think gets overlooked more than it should. But stepping back, the other attack Ho-Oh has is just to put 3 Pokemon, any combination of fire-based GXs or EXs, I guess, and or EXs from your discard pile. This is, primarily useful to skip evolutions, but it's honestly an attack I've never used. I could see it being very, very rarely useful. If you didn't have anything that Sacred Fire is going to make an impact on, and you've already used Phoenix Burn, so you can't attack the next turn, you don't have anything that enables you to switch, and you have some Salazzles in the discard pile, that's a very specific situation though, and I don't think it's going to happen very often. It hasn't happened to me in, looking, probably including real life, we're looking at like 70, 75 games. So that's Ho-Oh, again, mainly there to hit hard with Phoenix Burn. I'll also note, because it's very pertinent, his weakness is to lightning, which means water Pokemon, when this is your primary attacker, don't matter. They don't scare you. His resistance is to fighting, which is awesome in our current meta with so much fighting between Buzzwole and Lycanroc and the Copy Your Attack Sudowoodo. Very, very frequently you'll run into players who don't properly account for resistance, and they'll think they're about to take a KO on Ho-Oh, and then they miss by 10, and you're living and able to take an extra 2 prizes that maybe you wouldn't have been able to take if they had gotten their math right. Or maybe they just can't quite reach the 210 number the way that they have to actually take out a 190 Pokemon. So that's Ho-Oh. He's our primary attacker. Our secondary attacker is Salazzle. Really quickly, we'll look at Salandit. I'm playing this one from Guardians Rising. He has a 1 energy attack and a 2 energy attack. We're going to use him as little as possible. There is a new Salandit coming out that I think has a 1 energy 10, 2 energy 30 attack, and since we're basically never poisoning in this, that's probably a better Salandit to use. If you have another one that you'd prefer to use, go for it. And then our secondary attacker that we'll use almost as frequently as Ho-Oh. Some matchups he becomes our primary, a lot of matchups he does our cleanup, is Salazzle-GX. So early game, if you're using him, you're going for the Heat Blast attack that just does a straight 110 damage, 140 with the Choice Band. You cannot use Steam Up to power his attack up further. I should have mentioned with Ho-Oh, you can attach Choice Band and Steam Up to get from 180 up to, let's pull out 180, so you can get to 210 with either a Steam Up or a Choice Band, and you can actually get to 240 with both. You can't Steam Up onto Salazzle though, so 140 is the max you can do until you've taken some prizes. And the prizes come into play with Diabolical Claws. So that's 50 times the number of prizes that you've taken. So really you need to take 3 prizes before this attack is more meaningful than Heat Blast. At that point, if you have a Choice Band, you can KO any 180 HP basic, right? So Tapu Lele becomes a target at that point. And obviously like Tapu Bulu, most of the Tapus, I guess, and any other obviously GX out there or EX that has 180 HP. So there are a lot of targets that helps us out for. The GX attack here is sort of your anti-Gardevoir play, because you're only playing 2 energy anyway. You want to attack Gardevoir with Salazzle instead of using Ho-Oh. Just because 2 energy is a lot better for you than 4. So the GX attack helps further with that matchup in that you can discard all energy from your opponent's active Pokemon, meaning that if they have a Gardevoir that's approaching the point of being able to take out a Salazzle, you just Queen's Haze GX, get rid of all the energy, it goes into the discard, which is great, and suddenly they are not hitting you for anything. So it's nice. It sounds slightly better than it is, because it is possible for Gardevoir to just come back and one-hit KO you the following turn anyways if they've got more than one set up, especially, and or with Choice Bands. They can get there, but it definitely can help out. Our third attacker is Turtonator-GX. He's in there sort of just as an alternate way to one-hit KO early on. There are some matchups, granted very few of them, but some matchups where Ho isn't great, and he's there to help out there. Also, if you don't have a reason that you need to use Salazzle's GX attack, Nitro Tank is huge because you can immediately power up a full Ho-Oh and something else. So that's pretty great. He can also hit 160, and he can get Steam Up boost and Choice Band, so he can hit up to really 220, which is pretty good in our meta. But he does have to discard the energy, so it's a little bit of an issue there. And there are times when you can't get both the Choice Band and the Steam Up, so you can't quite hit all of the numbers you want to hit sometimes. sometimes you're topped out at 190 and you'd have to do like a shell trap first to prep a KO. But let's talk through all of those, I guess. So shell trap does 20 damage, obviously 50 to 80 if you get steam band and or choice band, or steam up and or choice band. And then if your opponent attacks into you, it's 8 damage counters. So that can be good. Bright Flame, we talked about 160 to 220, and Turtonator-GX attaches 5 energies from your discard to really come back from having something knocked out or from discarding a bunch of energies with Bright Flame. So he's good, but we focus more on Ho-Oh early game and on Salazzle late game. Late game, you don't really need the energy recovery the Turtonator gives you most of the time if you can get out of Salazzle. Another basic, and this is our other answer to the barrier effect Pokemon, is Volcanion. The basic, not the EX, or the baby, not the EX. We use the Power Heater attack to also get some energy back if your first Ho-Oh has gotten knocked out and you're not ready to do anything else yet. Steam Artillery comes into play sometimes. You can hit up to 160 if you get Steam up and you get a Choice Band on there. And obviously this is our best answer if our opponent has a barrier effect Pokemon and is not attaching energy. The one caveat there though is that he does have a water weakness. So if you're against an Alola Ninetales deck and they are attaching water energy to the Ninetales, you definitely want to focus on Oranguru, because you don't want to give them a one-hit KO with their little barrier Pokemon if you can help it. But the Power Heater attack is the main reason that we end up playing him if and when we do. Play 2 copies of Tapu Lele for the Wonder Tag ability to just search out a supporter when we need it. We play 1 copy of Volcanion-EX. He's almost entirely here for that Steam Up ability, just to more easily let us hit the 210 HP damage numbers. Volcanic Heat occasionally comes into play when you can't get anything else going, but not that frequently. I'm not going to pull up every card here. Max Elixir lets us attach energy, basically. And we're playing 14 energies, so that happens more frequently than you might think. Like, they actually hit even after you've Kiawa'd, which is great. We play 2 Nest Balls along with 4 Ultra Balls, and that's so that we can get our Pokemon out. We want to be able to get, basically everything we play is a basic other than Salazzle. And we have, obviously, Salandit as basic. So the 2 Nest Balls are great to get most of our Pokemon line out. They don't require discard, which is great, because a lot of times we take an early advantage and our opponent will end us down to a small hand size. So sometimes you wouldn't have the cards in hand that you need for an Ultra Ball, but you can obviously Nest Ball. If the only reason that we really need Ultra Ball is for Salazzle and for Tapu Lele, because obviously Nest Ball does not activate Lele's Wonder Tag ability. We're currently playing 2 Super Rods. I've got them separated here because I was trying to take note of the alternate art to decide whether or not I really wanted a Super Rod every time I saw it. The other options that we've played in the past is a Field Blower in place of one of these. We could play an extra Guzma or Kiawe in place of one of these. It just kind of depends on where you end up, if you end up needing the recovery. I haven't firmly decided one way or the other. I think in one of the upcoming formats with Glaceon, I might see dropping this for an extra Kiawe, because we'll no longer be able to Tapu Lele as often for Kiawe. We played 2 Switch, 2 Float Stones, and 3 Guzma to help us very often be able to switch out of the active and get back into the active if need be, so that we can stream attacks with Ho-Oh. You don't want to have to use the Sacred Fire attack unless it works out well. And being able to stream, 210 HP hits can be really, really dominating. talked about Guzma already. It helps you switch out. It also lets you target who you want on your opponent's field. I've got a one-of copy of Lillie here. Lillie is there basically as a better card than N. We take an early lead most games, and so N starts to become detrimental after like turn 2 most of the time. We still play 2 of them because sometimes hindering our opponent is more important, but getting Lillie to get up to 6 cards is usually better. I'll probably switch at least one of the ends out for a Cynthia. I might replace Lillie with Cynthia because we don't very often want to turn 1 Lillie. We usually want to turn 1 Kiawe. So I could see this becoming a 2 Cynthia, 1 N, 4 Sycamore line. Then we play 4 Choice Band. Again, we want to be able to hit that 210 magic number with Ho-Oh as frequently as possible. So we have outs to it with 4 Choice Band and with the Volcanion. And then the 14 energies, just to make sure that we're still getting plenty of energy even after we play Kiawe. I'll note too with Kiawe, so I didn't specifically talk about Kiawe. If you're not familiar, he attaches up to 4 energy cards from your deck to one of your Pokemon. You can't spread them around. It doesn't have to be 4, it can be fewer. But then you shuffle your deck and your turn ends. So you don't ever get to Kiawe and then attack on the same turn. Which is why if you're going first, he's an ideal turn 1 supporter, because you get to attach a ton of energy and it doesn't hinder you. You really want, when any turn you're playing Kiawe, you want to attach other energies first. So you want to play energies out of your hand if you have them, and you want to play all Max Elixirs before you Kiawe. And it's really powerful too. If you can like hit a Max Elixir and a manual attachment onto a Salandit and then Kiawe onto a Ho-Oh, you're almost set for the game at that point. Other good Kiawe targets are, of course, Turtonator, where you would go ahead and put 4 energies onto him. That being important because you can attack the following turn. So if it was a situation where you like started Turtonator, right? That doesn't spell doom by any means. You can attach an energy manually, you'll usually have one. Then you Kiawe, so you have 5 energies on there. Following turn, you can hit for 160 to 220, depending on how things work out. You can attach another energy, so you went from 5 up to 6, discarded 2, you're down to 4. Okay? And hopefully you're taking a KO. Then you manually attach the turn after that, and you're back up to 5. You attack again, discard 2 more, and you're at 3. You could even, at that point, the following turn, attach again, be at 4, discard 2, and then be able to attach an additional time. So you can hit that 160, 190, 220 number very frequently, and it's powerful on Turtonator. Still, I think, better on Ho-Oh, but it can work out here as well. Occasionally I've Kiawa'd onto Volcanion if I'm playing against a mill deck that's using barrier Pokemon. There have been times that I've turn 1 Steamed Artillery onto Volcanion so that turn 2 I'm guaranteed to be able to just start attacking. And then same sort of thing with Volcanion-EX. Very rarely, unless you're in a situation where it just magically makes sense. Those can be mirror matches. Volcanion-EX is a decent, well, maybe even an optimal attacker in a match against another Volcanion deck. And I'll note too that you tend to do really well in the mirror match because Ho-Oh, I say mirror match because I'm talking about in Volcanion matches. In a mirror match against another Ho-Oh deck, it's totally different and you have to play differently. But against other Volcanion builds, Ho-Oh outspeeds them because you're Kiaweing. Ho-Oh is not weak to water, so their Volcanion-EXs aren't necessarily able to take you out easily. And you're faster, and you probably play more cards to keep yourself active. So it works out really well. And I guess we should, with that go over some matchups. So, like I said, Volcanion is actually a pretty good matchup because you're not weak to them and they are weak to some of your Pokemon. You just don't play the ones that are weak unless you can use them to their best use. Gardevoir is a fairly bad matchup. You can win it. Again, you want to focus on Salazzle and Turtonator more than Ho-Oh. Most Zoroark builds are actually pretty good matchups. Oftentimes you can start off taking KOs really easily against the backup attackers. So that's true in Zoroark. Galissapod, very clearly. Salazzle, again, is your MVP. It's also true in Zoroark Decidueye. It's less true in Zoroark Lycanroc. You still probably want to focus on the Lycanrocs, but since they don't evolve them until they're going to use the Bloodthirsty Eyes ability, it does become a really tough matchup. Obviously, you can start taking out their Zoroarks, but it's difficult the way that they can change your Pokemon around. Even though you have lots of ways to switch, it just isn't as easy as I would like it to be, or at least I haven't found a way to make it easy. Buzzwole is a good matchup. You can very quickly outspeed them with Ho-Oh and Kiawe. Also, you don't care about Parallel City, because just having an Oranguru out to help you not totally dead draw once they start eating into a low hand size, and then a Ho-Oh that's powered up, and then a Salazzle. That's kind of all you really need. So being down to 2 bench spots doesn't hurt you that much, and you'd have an extra one to spare at that point. Other than that, Greninja is actually a pretty good matchup because you're not ability reliant at all. You're not weak to water with your Ho-Ohs, and you can outspeed them by so much that it becomes really easy. So I think I've maybe lost that match once out of 10 games, and usually it's just, you're just running over them. What other popular matchups are there? Ninetales is a little rough, but it's not bad. I tend to win it basically by outspeeding them with Ho-Oh, and occasionally mixing in other attackers to deal with barrier effects. The one time I've had a little bit of problem and I barely won was against a barrier Ninetales deck that was playing Muscle Dumbbells onto the barrier, so he could 2-hit KO Oranguru and I could only 2-hit KO his barrier, but I ended up getting past it with some. I think that game was one where I actually needed the 2 Super Rods, so that I had them was helpful. And then obviously using Guzmas and using snipe attacks off of Ho-Oh were the other ways that led me to still win that game, even though a lot of times I couldn't attack his active Pokemon. But with that, we'll go ahead and wrap up for today. We will be back very soon with some matchup videos. I'm going to use some videos from tournaments that I've been playing over the last month or two, and it should be interesting. So look forward to that, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks.